Welcome back to Chains of Addiction. If you're new here, consider subscribing so that you can catch all the new videos. Today we're doing a little bit of a different kind of video. We're going to be mostly on the bench, probably almost entirely on the bench, working on a couple saws that need a little bit of love. So thanks for joining us. My name is Max, and without further ado, let's just get to it. Good news, guys. I bought a camera so that I can do some of these videos at home by myself. Bad news, I needed to do that because I broke my favorite saw. Alright, so it's probably no surprise to anybody that's been watching the videos that the Husqvarna 372 is my go-to saw. Maybe not my favorite saw, they're all kind of my favorite saw. For that reason, I have two of them. Two of the good old ones, way before the X-Torque models came out. Both of them are broken now. So this one over here you've actually never seen before, and it has a severe air leak, making it just rev to the moon even at no throttle. This one is the one that I've been running, and if you remember in the video the other day, I came clean that a branch came down and hit it and broke this handle. When it did, my theory is that it hit the top of the wraparound bar as well, and it caused some damage. So today we're going to look at that and see if we can't do something to get one, if not both, of my 372s back in the wood. Alright, so no tripod here, so sorry if it's a little shaky, but as you can see, we've got a broken weld on the bottom of our handle, and that is causing some other damage to start to appear. This is not ideal. This is going to eventually tear my saw apart. I might have to replace the whole tank assembly. We'll see. This is definitely not a how to tear down a 372 video. If you want to see that, probably check out Bellhopper or Iron Horse or the Tin Man or one of those guys. This is just me trying to figure out some stuff. Alright, so obviously that's broken and I'm not going to continue running it that way. But this is actually the weaker of my two 372s. So that other one has an air leak. As far as I can tell, I've had the muffler off, I've had the intake off. That seems to be a fairly warm ported saw, which is great. I think that this one is basically stock, although it has an aftermarket cylinder on it. I don't think anybody ported it. So what I'd like to do before I start cannibalizing this saw is dive into it a little bit, see if we can't figure out where that air leak is and fix it. I have a fair amount of 372 parts on hand because I like running them. So we're going to dive into that. And first things first, we got to see if we can figure out where the air leak is. Now, I've already replaced the fuel line with a very good fuel line. I have replaced, I think I rebuilt the carb on it. I replaced the intake boot. I put the aluminum throttle cable bracket on it. I've done all the normal stuff. I think I've narrowed it down to 3 places, basically, that we're looking at an air leak. One of which would be the base gasket, which in my opinion is the best case scenario, because this does have a base gasket on it. It's not been deleted. I have the Honda Bond to do a base gasket delete on that saw. So I'll check the numbers on it and see. Again, I'm not going to go into extreme detail with that type of stuff, but I'll cover it a little bit. So if it's a base gasket, that's great. We should be able to get that saw back on. The other two places are the crank seals. And while I do have crank seals for 372, that might be a little bit more of an involved job that I need to get a couple more tools either ordered or made for. So let's dive into it. We'll take this saw outside and fire it up. I got a can of brake clean here and see if we can get it fired up. See if we can track it down with the brake clean. Well, that's encouraging. So I sprayed the brake clean all over the clutch. Nothing happened. You can hear it starting to rev way up. The jets on this carburetor are cranked all the way open, just so that it won't rev it and, you know, potentially damage something. So I sprayed all over the clutch. Nothing happened. And then I sprayed at the base gasket and it died. So I'm gonna try that one more time, see if we can duplicate results there. That's encouraging. Let's see what happens. All right, so I'm excited. I had in my mind, because Murphy's Law and everything, that the air leak was going to be the worst case scenario, which would be one of the crank seals. For me, anyway, that's the worst case scenario, I think. So I'm excited. I think it's the base gasket. That part I just went and located it. And it's something I feel comfortable doing easily. So I'm going to start tearing this thing apart. Quick disclaimer, I do use a power drill on this stuff. I usually use it mostly when I'm taking it apart. When I'm putting it back together, I like to do that by hand so that I don't strip anything out or break any bolts. But taking it apart, I definitely will use a power drill. And I'm going to leave the video recording. I'll probably do a time lapse because I have no idea how long this is going to take me. But yeah, if anything neat or interesting comes up, I'll just slow it down for you. Shame on me. I found a few glaring problems right off the bat. First of all, I was missing one of the two bolts that holds the muffler on, which is not great. There was no muffler gasket, which is, you can argue that one. But one of two bolts holding the muffler on, so that's bad. And then also I see, and I'm going to bring the camera in here in just a second, where I sprayed that brake clean right on the front corner, it was it's got no, the bolt is there, but it's not tightened down at all. So let me get you in here. Okay, so if we look on this side, you can see the head of the Allen screw is right down tight. If we look on this side, the head of the Allen screw is not even in the vicinity. It's almost completely backed off, actually. So that is less than ideal. Yeah. So I'm torn here now. I'm not 100% sure whether I should just tighten that bolt down and see if it fixes the problem, or should I tear the top end off. It looks to me, I'm looking through the exhaust port, and there's not really any damage to the piston, the ring, or the cylinder wall. So I think just out of curiosity, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to tighten that head bolt, so to speak, down and just see what happens. It's not really going to hurt me. It only took me 15 minutes to tear it down to this point, and honestly, yeah, let's just do that. Let's tighten that down. I have a feeling that it might have sucked part of that base gasket, which is, that's fine. Like I said, we've got an extra base gasket here, no big deal, but I'm just curious. I want to see if I can just fix it just by tightening that bolt. So let's see how it goes. Alright, so cleaned up mating surfaces pretty well here. Gonna touch this one up real quick. And then I'm gonna slap this muffler back on. I'm not gonna put any of the rest of it back on, maybe just the air cleaner, air filter. And then I have a gasket for this muffler. I'm gonna throw it on there as well. Again, that's debatable. Some people say you don't need it. Some people say you do. I don't think it hurts anything, so I'm gonna use it. And then I'm gonna take it back outside and see if she runs. I will have to, real quick, just turn the carb adjustment screws back to about sane, about normal, because I think, if nothing else, it's going to run far better than it did. I think, partially sealed the air leak. So if I try and fire it up the way it is right now, with both of those mixture screws cranked all the way out, it'll just flood out immediately, I think. So we don't want to do that either. I'm going to grab this gasket here, just slap it on. All right. Got the thing back together enough that I should be able to run it. Everything looks good. I'm just gonna see
if this sucker is gonna run right. Gotta adjust the tune a little bit. All right, see what happens. I think it's gonna work for us. Yeah. So I'm gonna zip this thing back together, check and see if I'm missing any other hardware. It kind of looks like I might be. So yeah. Bit windy here right now, so I'm not gonna talk much. Just doing some test cuts. See if we fixed it. That'll do. Well, she might need some fine tuning. The chain might need to be a little bit less aggressive, or maybe there's a couple damaged teeth on it, but I am so stoked right now. This saw is probably the best running saw that I have. It's got seems like a little mild port job on it, and it's just always been a fantastic cutter. So I am extremely happy to have this one back in the wood. I'm gonna order some parts for the other saw tonight to get it fixed up. There's nothing wrong with it. It runs like a top still. Right? It just needs, I think I can have somebody weld the bottom of that handle for me. I got a couple of people I know that have TIG welders, and I'm not sure. I'll probably order a tank just in case, but I'm gonna order some other parts for that saw too, and we'll cover that in another video. Thanks for stopping by Chains of Addiction. My name is Max. If you liked what you saw here today, please subscribe, give it a thumbs up if you can, and yeah, thanks for coming by.